What's going on? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics. I've got a question. Are the values of your 9.8 and 9.9 comics about to plummet? Maybe. Stay tuned because there was some new information that we got very recently, something I think is worth talking about. All right, so before we get started, please remember to hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content like this. So the basis for this video is that just very recently, within the last day or so, West Coast Avengers and the 9.9 newsstand, two of the individuals that were responsible for identifying the first CGC scam book, that Amazing Spider-Man 252 Mark Jewelers insert, and kicked off this whole thing with the CGC scam issue, actually did an interview with Matt Nelson, the president of CGC, and it's on West Coast Avengers channel. I recommend going and checking that out, but I'm not going to talk about the scam stuff. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about something that Matt Nelson mentioned in the video. And what he mentioned was that CGC may start doing 9.9 pre-screens. So you can't pre-screen at a 9.9 right now. The best you can pre-screen to is a 9.8. And so there were some other comments just that were made in that interview where it just made it seem like generally it's more they're looking for 9.8s. They're not really looking for 9.9s when they're grading. And so occasionally there are 9.9s that get graded that are out there, but not necessarily all of them. Because this revolved around a question that 9.9 Newsstand asked, where it was about Ultimate Fallout 4 and how there are over 4,000 copies in a 9.8 alone, but 0 9.9s. And how is that even possible with a modern book? And so that's what led into this statement from Matt Nelson about how they're considering, he's like, there may be some 9.9s in there, and we're considering doing a 9.9 pre-screen. And so I know this is going to bring up a lot of potentially CGC hate comments, that are going to get into this video, because people will say, well, they should have been looking for that in the first place. Why weren't they there? This kind of thing. And I think that this is a pretty important topic, because I think this is actually one of the reasons why so many people struggle with grading 9.8s. And it's because you see modern books like say 2010 and newer, and they look perfect. You're like, why isn't this book a 9.9? Why isn't this book a 10.0? And they just get a 9.8, And so then when people see some silver, Bronze Age book, whatever, it has a spine tick or a little like roughness in the bindery area of the corners, and they go, there's no way that's a 9.8. That, I've seen 9.8s for the modern age, and this isn't that. This isn't anywhere close to that. And so I think that's actually caused some problems with understanding that area of grading, those super high grade books. And so I thought I'd talk about what are some of the potential impacts on the different ages here. We'll talk about a few different books, maybe what percentage of 9.8s in these different eras could be 9.9s, could be 10s, and what is the impact then on the values of some of these books. Because I could see this being a pretty significant impact on the modern, ultra modern area, even maybe the Bronze Age, Copper Bronze Age area. Not so much like silver and gold, but these ones where maybe there are a bunch of 9.9s out there right now that they're going to get resubmitted. They're going to go through that pre-screen and they're going to get that 9.9. And that could absolutely hammer the values of 9.8s and of the few 9.9s that are out there, the few 10.0s that are out there today. So I've got a few books pulled up. I thought this was something that would be interesting to discuss. So here, starting with the Golden Age, because Golden Age, there are actually a couple 9.9s that are out there. This is one of them. This is this Thrilling Comics number 30. And here's a 9.9 Edgar Church, sold in 2012 for $35,500. There was another 9.9 that sold recently in one of the Heritage auctions. But if we take a look at this book, you see here's that 9.9. Even has some writing on the cover. You know, some people are just going to die from that. You know, there's actually some writing on this cover. But this is a 9.9. Now, the other thing, and I've talked about this on the channel a lot of these 9.9s that you'll notice are old labels. They were graded a long time ago, early on in CGC. And so they're books that you wonder, like, would it actually get a 9.9 today? Or was this something based on what they had seen at that point, how they were grading at that point? Maybe they had more time to evaluate each individual book at that point. And so really, like, this is what these old label CGC books look like. It's this style, and a lot like the Hulk 181.99, old label, the Captain America 100.99, old label. A lot of them are. And so it makes you wonder. Like, it's one of those things that makes you wonder why we used to see them more early on than we do now. But just something out there so that you can see that there are 9.9 Golden Age books. There's a couple of them, not many. But my thought has been that if I'm looking at 9.8s, if I'm looking at the number of 9.8s that are out there, what percentage of those 9.8s are actually 9.9s? And looking at the different eras. And so I'm going to say Golden Age, I'm guessing the percentage of 9.8s that are actually 9.9s, maybe 0.5%. So that means out of every 200 9.8s, which are already extremely rare in the Golden Age, you might have 1.99. And I think that's a reasonable rough estimate based on what you see out there with actual 9.8s in the Golden Age, which are, again, very rare, and how many 9.9s exist. So I think maybe 0.5%. Then if we move up to the Silver Age, so I figured we'd look at an X-Men #1, a book that is graded all the time, relatively early Silver Age. And so in a 9.8 for X-Men #1, there are only 2. And we know that there are some 9.9 Silver Age books that are out there, but there are not very many. There's the 2 Captain America 100s. And so you do come across them occasionally, but I am thinking for the Silver Age, it's probably about 1% of 9.8s. So again, there aren't a lot of 9.8s out here. So if we have just 2 9.8s in X-Men #1, there's a very, very low chance that one of these is actually a 9.9 if you resubmitted it. But let's say we go and look at Fantastic Four #48, where there was that warehouse find of that book. And so Fantastic Four #48, I don't believe there are any 9.9s of this. So the last sold here was a 9.8. If we go up to the CGC census, yeah, you can see there are 43 9.8s. So if 1% of Silver Age books are 9.9s, there's maybe a chance that one of these could be. Still, it's a pretty small chance. It would mean that if you had 100 9.8s, one of them might be a 9.9. So there's still be a small chance here. But I'm just saying, so for these books, that if there are more 9.9s out there than what were previously thought, and people are going to be doing resubmissions for 9.9 pre-screens, I mean, it wouldn't be unexpected if one of these popped back a 9.9. However, I don't think that really would have too much of an impact on values. It might drop the 9.8 price a little bit, but I think for this type of era, it's much more likely that you're just going to have a big jump in the value for the 9.9 that's found when it's still that small of a percentage. And that's just me guessing. I'm thinking, silver, gold, these are pretty old books, not necessarily handled real well yet at that time. So the likelihood of a 9.9 is still very low. If you want to see the Captain America, there was one that sold just recently in this big heritage auction. Here's one of those 9.9s, and I know Mickey talked about this one. Kind of looking all close at it and wondering, is it actually a 9.9 anyway? But if you look at the census for Captain America 100, there are 48 9.8s and 2 9.9s. That would be about 4% of copies. So, I mean, maybe I'm even a little low, but this is a much later Silver Age book. This is 1968. It's almost into the Bronze Age. But this, in theory, would be about 4% of copies being 9.9s if that carried through across all other books. So it gives you the idea that there are maybe some more 9.9s out there. However, I just want to again point out that this is one of those old labels. You can see the serial number on this one starts with 3 zeros. That means this was graded a long time ago. And if we go check out when it was graded in 2001. That's generally what I see with a lot of these 9.9 type books, is that they were graded a long time ago. And I don't know if it's just that they got more picky, or they don't have as much time now to actually review them, or what it might be. But I still think that gold, silver age, this isn't that big of a story yet, because I think the likelihood of these books having a bunch of 9.9s flood the market is pretty low. Now, there is also a silver age 10-0, and that is this book right here, Thor number 156. And here it is, Thor number 156, a 10-0. I don't know if it's the only silver age 10-0, but it's something like that. There's only one or two. So my thought with the 10-0s is that it's probably 10 times less than the 9.9s, just kind of like roughing that out. So it would mean 0.1% of the 9.8s from the silver age might be 10-0s in reality. So it does mean that there could be more out there, but again, seems, it's not something that you're going to have a big flood of them into the market. The interesting thing with this 10-0 is it actually has graders notes, which is crazy. Like, you wouldn't think that would be even possible. As top front cover, light fingerprints. I would assume that immediately invalidates that book from a 10-0. So I don't get that one. That one's strange to me. But there is one 10-0. It does have fingerprints, however you want to look at that. Now, let's move on to the Bronze Age, because I think this is where it starts to get interesting. And this is kind of based on that Captain America number 100. I was thinking maybe Bronze Age, it's 5% of 9.8s might be 9.9s, and then 0.5% of 9.8s might be 10-0s. So now this is where I think you could really start to have an impact on the market, because there are quite a few 9.8s out there for some of these Bronze Age books. Like, if we take a look at Amazing Spider-Man 129, there's 185 9.8s. That means if 5% of those are 9.9s, that means you've got 9 of them, 9 9.9s. And then if 0.5%, it means potentially approximately 1 10-0. Now, this 9.8 is no longer top of census. The 9.9 might not even be top of census. The 10-0 has, I think, a very reasonable chance at potentially being top of census now, with 185 9.8s. And this isn't an unusual number for a major key in this era. For example, if we look up Giant Size X-Men number 1 and we check out how many of this book are graded on the census. And so we go census, we've got 237 9.8s. 5% of that, now you're at about 11 to 12 9.9s out there, maybe again at least 1 10-0. And so again, that's where I could see this start to have an impact on these values. I mean, one of the things that really, people like going for is top of census, and they pay that premium for top of census. Now, if you're no longer top of census, now you could potentially see some fairly significant drops in that highest grade. I think 9.8s what would be hit the worst. I can't say exactly how much it would drop, but I could see the prices in 9.8s starting to drop in the Bronze Age. Now let's move up to the Copper Age. So copper, I'm thinking maybe 10% of the 9.8s might actually be 9.9s. And so let's take a look at New Mutants number 98. This is 1991, just at the end of the Copper Age. This census, you've got 4,257 9.8s. We already have 12 9.9s and 1 10-0 on that census. If 10% of these, like if somebody took every one of those books and said, I'm going to resubmit for this 9.9 pre-screen, 10% of them end up being 9.9s, that is 425 9.9s. That is not an insignificant number. Now, I think that will hurt the 9.8 value some, but you know what I think it's going to hurt even more? This type of number. Right now, that 9.9 for New Mutants 98, $40,000. Someone's paying 35 times as much for that 9.9 as they are for the 9.8. If all of a sudden this number jumps from 12 to 430, 425, there's no question in my mind that this is going to have a pretty significant impact. And then the 10 would jump to 40 10-0s. And now, again, this is just speculation on how this could turn out. But if the implication is that we haven't really been looking for 9.9s or 10s so much, and just generally been giving 9.8s as the highest grade for the most part, with a few rare exceptions. Once you start introducing something like a 9.9 pre-screen, which means a 10.0 pre-screen probably isn't too far off either. You introduce a 9.9 pre-screen, then a 10.0 pre-screen, it is much more likely that you are going to start coming across those books and having them pop up on the census and likely have a very significant impact on values. This one, 9.8s might drop a little because there's already 9.9s out there. But I think the 9.9s, I think this number is just going to get hammered. I would not be shocked if this number dropped from 40,000 to 8, like 8,000 or 9,000, just be wrecked out there, because the volume, the number of them, it no longer becomes special. It's no longer a special book. Another one is Amazing Spider-Man 300. This is the most graded book that is out there. And if we look at Amazing Spider-Man 300, you have 10 9.9s right now. We have 1,552 9.8s. That means there could be 150, maybe 9.9s actually out there, maybe 15 10.0s. Again, this is the type of thing where I could see some pretty serious impacts to values. I mean, a 9.8 going for 3,000 in 2023, 9.9 went for 13,000 back in 2017. Let's look at what a 9.8 went for in 2017. 2017, a 9.8 generally going around $1,700. That means the 9.9 was selling for around 8 times as much. The 10.0 isn't on here yet. But so if 8 times as much today would be 25,000, I honestly think a 9.9 today would probably sell for more than 25,000. I wouldn't be shocked. But that's one where I would see prices of those just, again, plummet. They no longer become special. They're not nearly as special as they used to be. And the single highest graded probably becomes 10 or 15 of them that are out there. So, I mean, if you're a really high grade collector and you have some of those, man, like this statement would really worry me. It would really, really worry me, especially when we start hitting copper and, a little bit on that Bronze Age. But then let's move on to modern, right? Let's go to Ultimate Fallout 4. So Ultimate Fallout 4, I would not be surprised if, when we're talking ultra modern, I'm saying 2010 and newer. That's what I'm classifying as ultra modern. 2010 and newer. I would not be surprised if it's like 20% of copies. And maybe more as you get newer. Like the stuff that's just coming out today, like printed in 2020, 2019, 2022, this kind of thing. I mean, these are books that people are just, most people are already just taking them off the shelf and putting them in the bag, but generally people are being picky on the shelf as well, making sure they're picking the best copies, all that kind of thing. In Ultimate Fallout 4, there are 4,179 8s out there. If 20% of those are 9.9s, and maybe I'm overestimating, I don't know, but if 10% of those are 9.9s, that's 400. 20%, 800. That could mean as many as 40 to 80 10.0s. And those aren't numbers that would shock me. And I think this is probably why there is really so much confusion at the 9.8 level, because people see books like this, like these super modern books that are made with modern printing methods that are extremely clean, really well cut, no bindery defects, no spine ticks, anything. And they see that and they go, why is this a 9.8? And then I have this other book over here that has 2 spine ticks and it's also a 9.8. This doesn't make any sense to me. And you're right. You're probably right based on this, that those shouldn't have been 9.8s. They should have been 9.9s or 10s. And now what we're going to see potentially with a 9.9 pre-screen, who knows, maybe a 10.0 pre-screen at some point in the future, that these numbers are really going to shift at the top. I mean, this is my prediction. I mean, I could be completely wrong. Maybe they go like super conservative on it so it doesn't just totally screw up the census. But man, like I know in the interview they were excited about hearing about a 9.9 pre-screen, but for me, the instant I heard that, I was like, oh man, like that's trouble. Like that's big trouble because that implies that there are books out there that should have been given 9.9s and they were not, should have been given 10.0s and they were not. They were just thrown into the 9.8. And it sounds like it's maybe not a small number. And I do think it really is going to be a different percentage depending on the age. And so, like I said, I think golden age is probably 0.5% of the 9.8s are actually 9.9. Silver 1%, bronze 5%, copper 10%. And then modern, depending on, because modern's a huge era. It runs all the way from like 1992 till today. It's like 31 years. Maybe on the earlier end of modern, it's 15% to 10%. The later end of modern, it's 20, maybe even 25%. It could be a huge percentage of these books that are graded. And I'm talking about 9.8s. I'm not talking about the total count of books. I'm talking about graded 9.8s because that's people that are going to have their 9.8s and they'll probably send that slabbed 9.8 into CGC as a pre-screen 9.8. They might have a bunch of 9.8s. Like if you're a modern collector, you got a whole bunch of 9.8s, you just go like, hey, I'll take 25 of these 9.8s. I'm going to send them all in. Maybe I'll get lucky and one of them comes back a 9.9 or two of them come back a 9.9, something like that. And if this is the case, if this is the direction we're going in, for ultra moderns, I'd be very worried about values for 9.8s. I think you could see some very serious corrections in values for 9.8s. Somewhat in copper age, less so bronze, silver, and gold. But yeah, you're a 9.8 modern collector, watch out because this is coming, and I'd be nervous about it. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video is just, from that interview, this was the thing that really stuck out to me. I know the purpose of the interview was about trying to get some updates on the whole CGC scam situation, everything. But the thing that really stuck out to me was this 9.9 pre-screen and the potential impacts that could come from that. So yeah, if you're a modern 9.8 collector, if you're one of these people that's paid $40,000 for your 9.9s, I'd be watching out. I would not be surprised if there is a pretty significant jump in the census in the future when that is introduced. But hopefully you enjoyed this video, got some useful information. Hopefully you don't lose tens of thousands of dollars on your 9.9s, but yeah, that is a slight fear that I would have if I was somebody that had put the money into those books after hearing that. But if you'd like to see more videos like this, I got more videos over here. I've got the subscription button right here, and I will see you in the next video.